Welcome back to In the Business, the podcast for young entrepreneurs. Today we spoke to Alisia, the founder of Paiire Beauty app. There's a really interesting conversation to see behind the scenes of how someone is building an app before launch. So we hope you enjoy this conversation. Alisia, thank you very much for joining us today. Can you start by introducing yourself and a bit about the app that you're working on?
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. My name is Alisia. I am working on an app at the moment for freelance hairdressers and makeup artists. So I've been working on that for 2 years now. But my background, I am a hairdresser and I am a freelance makeup artist as well.
Okay, sure. So what moment did you decide that the industry needed an app like Paiire?
I got to a point in my career where I didn't know how to attract more clients, and Instagram wasn't doing what I needed it to do. And I was always in television, and then I wanted to get out of TV, but how I was going to make that transition, and I had no safety net, no safety blanket to say, oh, this is where I'm going to go to get more clients. And there are a few apps out there as in like beauty platforms, but they never spoke to me, and they also never traveled around with me because I travel a lot with my work. So literally the story is I actually was in the shower and it came to me. People say that's a very cliche thing. It literally came to me. I often thought, if a dating app can follow people around, why can't an app like for hair and makeup follow me around? So yeah, that's how it all started. And then I kind of wrote down what I'd like. So I've kind of mixed all the apps that I use into one.
Yeah. So what is the actual concept behind Paiire? So I guess the clue's in the name, but how does it actually work?
Yeah. So it took me a long time to come to that name, but when the name came into my world, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly what it is. Because I'm creating like this unique ecosystem where there's the artists, there's the clients, but there's also the beauty brands. And I always felt like 20 years ago, beauty brands were focused on beauty industry professionals. And then it changed and it's gone through to more influencers on TikTok and Instagram. And we seem to miss out. So it doesn't matter how many times you tag products in, doesn't matter how many famous people you do, beauty brands just tend to overlook us. So I kind of wanted to create a platform where they can even find us. They can look
Okay.
in an area and think that they want to maybe contact a few makeup artists that could be suitable for their brand. That's where you're going to find us.
Do you like search by location or is it like filters?
Yes, think
Okay.
of it like a dating app. So you have lots of
Okay,
filters
sure.
and you have definitely locations. So the idea is that a lot of makeup artists work around the world. So we could work throughout Europe. We get flown all over the place for different reasons. And this app can move with us. And being that my background, I am Australian, so I just spend a lot of time in Australia over the summer. I also needed this app. I thought, well, I need an app to move with me for those 2 months so I can work while I'm out there. Because all
Okay,
we need is our
sure.
tools.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So did you always imagine yourself as a founder when you were growing up and I know going through the school years, maybe university? Was this always the goal to be running your own
think
business?
I think I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. I have worked for myself since I was 21. So there's a
Okay.
good 20 years of working and running my own business and freelancing. So when you freelance in my industry, you kind of put your finger in all sort of different pies, and managing clients and networking and all of that was very second nature to me. So I had no idea anything about the tech world. I had no idea I didn't even know that people raised funds for things. Like, I was like, what? The people give you money? But I tell you what really helped me understand that world a little bit better was I did 6 years at Bloomberg. I worked at Bloomberg. So I was exposed to meeting so many incredible CEOs and founders of huge companies around the world. And I was always interested in asking questions.
Yeah,
So I
sure.
think that really helps. I've always been very curious about other people's jobs and careers and how they get there. And that's part of my job, is talking to people and getting to know them. And so I take a lot out of that.
Useful skills for
Mhm,
entrepreneurship, definitely.
mhm.
Did you study like anything at university? Like we're always quite interested to know what founders did before they launched their products. What was your sort of school years like?
Well, in Australia, you finish year 12 and then you generally go off to university. And when I was finishing school, it was you either finished school and went to university or you did a trade. So I already had a part-time job in a hairdressing salon, but it was really education was really important to me. So I did do 1 year at uni doing marketing, and I kind of forget about it because it was such a nonchalant year. I think I just used it to like have fun and
Yeah.
party with people. But at the end of that year, I remember the salon I worked at said to me, "If you want to do hairdressing, we'll offer you an apprenticeship." So that was, I mean, super nice of them. I've worked there for a long time. They knew my commitment, they knew my work ethic. So yeah, I thought, well, if I don't like it, I just stop.
Yeah, sure.
And
What's
then yeah.
what's interesting, you said you didn't really have a tech background. We'll dive into that in a bit. But just before we sort of go actually into the app and how you built it, what sort of stage are we talking now? Like it's in pre-launch, but what sort of stage are you at?
Well, we've created the prototype and the MVP. So we've got the UI and the UX sorted. I've done, branding, design, which is which is one of the most important things I learnt through this whole journey, that if you don't start with that, you don't really have anything. And that took me a lot of mistakes to get to that point. So we are still raising. So I'm still pre-seed raising my rest of my funds. So that's where I am at the moment. Yeah.
Nice. So in sort of total, Pair takes a very simple idea, connecting freelancers to powerful connections for people. Now, what is the very first step you took to actually do this? Like, if you had to do it to very, very, very first step, what was that?
We're talking like idea to like number one
Yeah.
step.
I'll tell you what my first step was. I quickly wrote what I visualized on, I drew it out. And I'd never done anything like that before, but I drew out what each screen would look like really roughly. And then I put it away. And it was literally the next 4 weeks from that point, I went through a really tough time at a job. So then I remember sitting there really thinking to myself, I really need to change how I'm working, and I couldn't figure it out. And then that piece of paper fell out of the book. And I re-looked at that piece of paper and I literally Googled how to make an app.
So from Googling that how to make an app, how did you actually go about making an app? Did you get designers in? Did you
Well,
get
I found out that there's a lot of accelerator incubated companies that you can go to and they can help. And I needed the help. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know the first thing about the business. So I rang a few places, emailed a few places. One in particular kept ringing. They rang me, which I found really helpful because they rang a few times. We had a few meetings and I liked the vibe of the guys, and they kind of knew how to like navigate that first early stage. So I signed on with them and I bootstrapped that part because that was very expensive. So but it was great because I ended up in a team straight away. And whatever ideas, and it was like I needed a book of like how to become a founder for dummies. Like it just like everything was coming at you
Yeah.
and you just had to quickly
Was this for actually how to build an app or how to be a business like woman?
Well,
Was
I
it like
didn't know that the founder and the app were two separate. Like I didn't
okay,
even
sure.
think. I
Yeah.
just thought, oh, well, I have an idea and how do I build it? And then I soon quickly realized you become that founder entrepreneur, and used all my skills that I know how to be an entrepreneur, and then you build the app.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
did you actually build the app yourself or did you get other people in to do it?
No, I have a developer.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I initially got put together with a developer through the accelerator company that I was with. And then during that first year, I started to look into a lot of expos and things that people would go to as founders and first-time founders. And there was one in Malta, the EU startup show. And I kind of went by myself. And I didn't know, I walked into a room full of people that I felt like were really smart, like in tech, and
Yeah.
there's me. And then I made friends. And one of the guys that I made friends with was a developer. And so we just kept in contact very loosely on LinkedIn. And then I approached him, I think it was last year. So we had a lot of chats beforehand. And once I had funding put in place, I used him.
So how
So
important was that funding in actually taking it off the ground?
it was super important. Funding is everything. Funding is like, you can have the greatest idea and you can have the ambition to do whatever you want, but it's, you need to have your the right investors. You can't just have anybody. I've learned, like, you have to have strategic investors, and the funding is what takes your idea from the piece of paper
In
to
real life.
an actual
Yeah.
real life app.
Yeah.
What do you mean by the right investors? What's that? Why is someone, if I gave you £1 million, why am I different to someone else?
Well, that's a really good question. I've learnt, I've spoken to so many founders, and you hear so many horror stories with bad relationships and things going bad between investors and founders. And I think because I've always had a great network of people that I've worked with and I've gotten to know over the last 20 years, I personally like to be around people that I like. And the three investors I have in my portfolio they give me three different things for my app. So one gives me insights to the hair industry. He has a hair care brand. One gives me insights to, he's an angel investor. So it's like he angel invests in a lot of different companies. So he can give me bits from other apps and other companies that he's invested in. And the third one is a VC from the US. So we have bi-weekly meetings, and she talks to me about business and running that side, because the hair and makeup side I get, but it's the other stuff that I need to learn. And I think it's really important to have people in your team to fulfill those gaps, because you don't know everything.
Yeah,
And you
sure.
have to trust
Okay.
those people that they're going
Yeah.
to give you the right advice.
Could you talk us through how you actually secure that funding? So do you have to like do a presentation to them? How does it actually get to the stage where they end up sending you the money?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's interesting. I think because I'd never approached the first investor I got, I'd never approached him as as asking for money. I went through a validation, obviously a validation stage of your idea, and you're asking all these people. Now I'm very, you know, well connected in beauty, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask just anybody. I'm going to ask the top hair makeup artists that I know that I work with, which I have an amazing network of people in London and in Melbourne and in Dubai and all over. And then I went straight to, been an amazing support to me. He owns a brand that I use. So he's the founder. So I just sat with him. I went to Melbourne and had a coffee with him and said, this is my idea. What do you think? And then he was like, and I asked him questions, provoking questions about his brand and where he targets his marketing to. And he immediately just went, okay, when you're ready to take some money, you let me know. And then that was, so it wasn't I wasn't selling it, because
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was a need there, and he saw the need straight away. So then the second one, I put it on LinkedIn, and I went to school with him, and I hadn't spoken to him for 20 something years. And he was like, I've been watching your whole journey. I trust that you know what you're talking about. Actually, words were, I've had a lot of girlfriends in my time who've struggled to find hair and makeup.
That's
So it's
incredible.
funny.
Yeah.
And then the
That's
third one,
really interesting.
she was my client, and I was talking to her about it. I had no idea what she did for work. She was an investor. So you never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
It's your network of people, I suppose. You've got to really build that up.
Yes, yes. I'm fascinated about that whole world of fundraising. Like this morning, I was at a seminar at Snapchat, and we met this guy, and he'd raised 12 million in his first round. And I'm like, I can't even raise what I'm raising. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
When it comes to sort of getting validation for the idea and sharing the idea, at any point were you scared that someone would take that idea? So
Yeah.
let's say they're a developer and they'll just completely take it and develop
Yeah.
it themselves. And how do you kind of
No,
protect
not with
yourself
my.
from that?
Yeah, it's true. Not with my developer, but if you've got to operate in intuition a lot. So if you're talking to someone, and I always feel like when they start off quite negative and then they all of a sudden become interested, I've always like, I got to be careful what I say here because I don't, like I start to get a very like you do start to become very protective over it.
Yeah.
Um, I think NDAs at early stages are pretty good, and I used to have that fear quite a lot at the start, and then the guys from my team, originally from the accelerator, the two after going into it so deeply, like a year and a half into it, he goes, "If somebody wants to take your idea now, like good luck. Look how much work you've done."
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's true," because there's a lot of meaning towards every feature that I've created. So you can build an app that looks like mine, but you won't understand the meaning behind any of those features,
Or have
and
the
only
connections that you do. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I have to keep, and that's really tough. You got to be mentally strong enough to not get yourself bogged down with what if they copy me. And there's been a few, I've seen a few things pop out that have similar on my revenue stream, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't there a year ago.
Yeah. Okay. You
Yeah.
mentioned revenue stream there. Can we talk a bit about how the app actually generates money? Does it like when you make the connection, how like where is the revenue and what is the process of collecting it?
So Pair will run as a free model, there'll be a freemium model, and then there'll be a pro version, and it will be subscriptions to start with.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how it will run as, and then we've got, ads and revenue in that. And then there's data, there's all sorts of different things. There's a lot of, I've realized there's so much more you can do with an app. Like I remember my first question was, because I wanted it to be free completely, because it was like, there has to like, how did Bumble make money? How does this company make money? And then like researching all that, which was super fun to research. But there's so many different avenues you can go down. So I'm still exploring multiple avenues, but that the subscriptions will be top priority. Yeah.
Recurring income.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that you're sort of you're looking at dating apps as are you sort of taking ideas from other similar apps like even if it's not in the same industry?
Mm. Yeah, of course. Well, this is the world we live in. Everything's easy. Like you can order food online, you can order a car online, and I often refer to the fact that no, I am old enough to come from a life without Uber, and Uber was a crazy idea that two guys came up with, and nobody thought that would work. But now we don't. I can't live without it. It's my
Yeah.
staple. I wouldn't even. I call catching a taxi getting an Uber. Like that's how they've changed
Yeah, yeah.
everything.
Incredible. Yeah.
Um, I looked at a lot of those apps, and I really went into the founder stories and where they were solving the smallest problems. And even with dating apps, it's interesting. Even if it's funny because people will be like, "Oh, I was married before the dating app." They know how to use them. Like everybody knows how to use them. They're very easy. Like, so I'm just here to make life simple and easy and broaden our work environment and broaden our work network for the artists that
Sure.
do what I
Okay.
do. So you think, well,
Yeah.
all these apps that I use, let's sort of pick up the best bits. And there's things we don't need, but there's things that we do need. Hmm.
Sure. Okay. What will actually be your strategy of like marketing the app and how are you going to get people using it? Because often that can be really tricky, isn't it? So you create the app and then it's like, how do you get the community on there?
I do lose a bit of sleep over that, actually. Um, I do think, yeah, it. That's why today was a great example. Like they were showing us how to use Snapchat to engage an audience. I think I'm still in the process of working out exact target markets for clients. But as far as the artists, it's an approach that I know what they go through. I know how hard their job is. I know how amazing it feels to do our job. I know that excitement when you get a great job, when you've met a client that you become lifelong friends with. Like I know that feeling. And hopefully, well, I feel like it's happening gradually on Instagram, particularly. Like a lot of people are coming on without really seeing too much of what Pair is yet, because I can't really show too much of it. But
Yeah, sure.
it's the trust that they know that I do what they do. And no tech developer or no other tech founder will have that experience of schlepping your kit across London on a tube and
Yeah.
sweating when you're turning up to someone's house. No one will understand that better than me and the people that I know. So
Yeah.
it's all that starting off with, I'm going to start with my own network and we'll grow from there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really interesting to hear.
Let's go
Okay.
behind the scenes. Now, what's the hardest part of Paiire about building an app that no one else sees?
The fundraising. That's my hardest part. I think it feels like, you get some sort of lead, you take on that lead, you do what your best you can, and then I always have to come away from it as maybe a no, a definite, like a no, or we're not ready, or blah, blah, and learn something from it. But it can be really disheartening because you've got people that rely on you to be paid for things. So you get to stop the production of my app, and you think you're the only one going through it, and that's what the tough part is. And I think the best thing that gets me out of that is that I've created little groups of founders, and I belong to some cool networks that you can then throw it on WhatsApp and say, is anyone else having this trouble? Because for a long time it feels like you're by yourself. And everybody keeps thinking, and then you think, am I crazy? This is a good idea. And then, but I think the no's turn into lessons, and then I refine my pitch deck, and then I do it all again. But that is, to me, it's been the most stressful and the hardest part. And what people don't see is how it affects your mental health in a way that it kind of affects everything in your life. So you have to switch off and go, I'm going to go to work now. I have to go to work and I have to be that person for that client. But in your head, you're thinking the whole time, that guy's got to email me back, or I've got to email that guy back. And so I think that's the toughest.
Has there ever been a moment that it's got too much?
No, it's definitely had stressful moments. Like, I'm in the thick of my stressful moment at the moment, right now. This is today, looking at to be really honest, you're and transparent, looking at my account for Paiire, and it's £0. 0. And you've got insufficient funds, and you're like, I'm gonna have to put money in there. I have to put money in myself to keep this going. But that's okay, I don't think if any founder has never experienced that, they've not done it properly, because this is
So it's part of the journey.
part of the journey. But it is tough. But
Yeah.
I love what I'm creating, and I've never not enjoyed doing the app. And that's what keeps me going. And just the other day, catching up with a couple of makeup artists, one of my makeup artist friends, she was just straight off the back, I'm so in awe of what you're doing. Keep going, because we need this. And I think even having that feedback, it gives you a bit of energy, and you think, I can do this. So it's that the mental strength.
You've got a mission behind your company. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I guess
Well,
so.
you've got a mission behind your company, so you can kind of go through all these challenging times, and because you've got the purpose and the mission, I guess that kind of propels you forward, even though the bank account may say 0. Would you say that's the case?
I'm like, that's okay. This is just one of those times. It's okay. It'll get better.
Yeah. Well,
You have to laugh when you cry.
I want to go back quickly to the pitch deck. Now, from what you've learned so far, what makes a good pitch deck?
That's a tough question, because I think everyone has so many investors have so many different ideas on what they think a good pitch deck is. Some want 5 pages, some want 10, some want 7, some want quite not a lot of writing, some want a little bit more. And then you start to take things away, and then another one wants more of it. So I think the pitch deck process since day one has changed, no word of a lie, probably 100 times. It's completely changed. Even this week, changing it again, because I spoke to another investor, and he was like, you need this done on it, that on it. I want to see this on it. So it's a forever if you can think of it as a forever evolving document that represents how your company is evolving, don't get too attached to what it looks like, and don't get too personal with it. You've got to take the constructive criticism with it. But that process, it takes up a lot of your time and your brain space.
Yeah.
Sure. Just before we start wrapping up the conversation, I do want to go back to your accelerator program, because we haven't had anyone on the podcast who's gone through a program like that. So if you are a young guy
Okay.
and or young business person, you want to get into starting a business, what would you kind of say, like, how's that even work, the accelerator program? Or would you recommend that as a pathway?
I would actually. I think depends on what their background is. And I actually, to be fair, it doesn't really matter what your background is, because I think a lot of people enter this world not knowing what they're getting into. If it's your first time, it's a great way to meet people that have done it before, have seen things done before, have mentorship. And the third thing is having a community of people. So they throw you into like their community of founders. So I found that really helpful. Going to events, immersing yourself in all of that entrepreneurial culture. So I would definitely recommend it. I think it's super necessary to have these accelerators, because also they can filter you out as well. If you've got an idea, they'll make you think if it's going to work or not. Because you really can't just go in there and go, I got an idea and I want you to throw money at it. Because, there's got to be people that challenge you on it. So, and that's what I
Sure.
found really
Yeah.
good with these guys. That was literally a team full of guys. So they were challenging me at every angle. And I appreciated it.
Yeah, sure. What was the name of the one that you went through? Like, what are some of the popular ones out there?
Hyper. I think it's Hyper HQ, but it's Hyper.
Okay, yeah. Because
Yeah.
there's also something called what's it called? Y Combinate? Something like that. I've seen it online. I don't know if you
There's so
guys.
many. There's
Yeah,
so many of
yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Someone in America. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
These
where
guys
do you
are here
see
in
Pear
London.
in 5 years' time? And like, what's the? Okay, sure, yeah.
Where do I see?
Where do you see Pear in about 5 years' time?
It's a great question. Without sounding too enthusiastic, I see Pear as a staple app on 95% of women's phones. And I see it growing in the male sector, because it will, in the corporate world, like I think haircuts and things like that are quite necessary, and nobody knows where to go when they land in different places. I think I see it becoming bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, I really want to push the community side of it, the events, and hopefully create a whole new generation of hairdressers and makeup artists that haven't started from scratch. They've started with Pear and they've grown with Pear. So as
Sure.
long as we
Okay.
keep supporting artists and supporting that community, that would be really interesting to see how artists grow and start using the app as maybe the only tool that they use to conduct business, whether they get the client on there or off there.
Sure. Well, it's been really interesting to
Does
talk
that
to you
make
today
sense?
and sort of hear from someone who's in the process of building a company, because we've had a lot of people they've built the companies, but I think we've had someone else building that one. But it's good to see like behind the scenes what it's like to actually
Yeah.
be in the process of building an app. But just before you go, what is one thing that you'd say to a 20-year-old entrepreneur who's building a company? Just a bit of advice, something you wish that you maybe done.
And they're already building a company.
Well, just they've got an
Is that what you
idea.
say?
Maybe they've just started. Maybe they've just started.
I think being an entrepreneur is not something you can study, or it's something that you can have a certificate to say that's who you are. I think it takes life experience to understand the markets that you're in. It takes life experience. And that doesn't mean it doesn't need to take 20 years. It can take 2 years being in anything. But always listen, always pay attention to people who are, especially people that have done things before you. Learn from people's mistakes and always be humble, and don't always think you know everything, because that's where your
Sure.
downfall will be.
Amazing. Great. Where can people find you on social media and online and follow your journey?
We're at Paiire Beauty on Instagram, and you can find Paiire Beauty app on LinkedIn. Or you can follow me on LinkedIn. One or the other.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I bet. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much for talking
guys.
to us today. It's been really useful. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to that episode. Now, one thing I really liked about the episode was when you look for investors, you want to find good investors for your company. Now, don't just find any investor, find one that's in your industry, because they're going to know a lot more about the industry that you do, and you can really pull off that and learn from them and probably progress the company a lot more than you would otherwise.
Yeah. And using your network, I think that was a big takeaway. Make sure that you, I don't know, just connect with the right people and go to meetups. Like she said, she was at a Snapchat meetup in the morning today, and just meet as many people as possible, because you never know where it's going to lead. Like she said, one of her customers was a future investor. Like who knows where you're going to find inspiration, money, and potential business partners. So develop your network. That's what I took away.
Yeah. And don't be scared of sort of people stealing your idea, because it'll get to a point where you put a lot of work into this and there'll be a lot of sort of barrier to entry for other people if they did want to start your idea. And just by talking to people, as Tom just said, you never know who you're going to fall into. So don't be scared.
Yeah. I also thought what was interesting was the accelerator program, because we haven't heard about any
That was the
people who have
first.
gone through that. And you see it online a lot. There's one, I think it's called Y Combinator. In fact, I'm just going to check quickly because I don't want to send everyone to the wrong. Yeah, Y Combinator. It's in America, but that's a really interesting pathway to take, because you must meet future founders, you get your ideas validated, you get help, you get funding. And maybe more people should look at that as an avenue. Yeah, I have no experience with the accelerators, but that looks like a very interesting route for a young founder to take.
100%. I agree. Now, thank you for listening to the episode. Smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on YouTube.
TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on
Instagram.
X and Instagram.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere. And make sure you drop in a comment anything you do like that we do and we don't like to do.
Yeah.
So
Anything you don't like, we can take the hits, we can take the punches. So let us know what you think of the podcast.
Thank you.
See you next time.